Hey, what's going on? It's Scott Churchson. Hope you guys are rocking out there. I'm going to try once again to rip through this as absolutely fast as possible. Hi, my name is Scott Churchson. This is Tales from the Film Set. Welcome to Spanglish World Network on Zingo TV, channel 249, 250. Please remember to download the Zingo TV app in the app stores of iOS and Android devices. When you download, make sure to rate, leave a comment. Both apps are free. Zingo TV is also available on Google Chromecast, Amazon Fire, Fire TV sticks, Roku sticks, and all smart TVs 2016 and forward. Hope you guys are having a great day. Let's roll into it. Yes, I did.
Oh,
yeah. Took like four
Not bad,
tries,
but I don't have a white
finally
gun, so I don't know if you beat your score or not. So
I don't know. I'm just happy that I didn't fumble it. All right. So anyway, I'm Scott Navion. That's Mr. Ryan O'Regan. And that, of course, right there is Mr. Robert Leckington. And welcome to Tales from the Film Set. Right up front, as you can see right below Rob Leckington, fair disclaimer, we are spoiling the ever-loving snot out of Multiverse of Madness. So if
did you have to say snot?
Yeah, because it's not. You know. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, because he's a little under the weather here, so we're not going to say things like snot, phlegm, boogers, or anything like that. Blow chunks. Dude. But we're going to leave all that out.
Yeah.
But Ryan's a trooper. He's staying in here, so respect to you big time on that one. But like I said, we are going to be spoiling Multiverse of Madness. If you've seen it, or actually if you haven't seen it and don't care, about being spoiled, all the better. That's fine. But if you haven't seen it and you don't want to know, you may want to find something else to do for the next hour. Figure let's start this off right off the bat. Ryan, yeah, I was going to say, showing off the new toys that you got. Did you like it? Did you hate it? Or can you at least acknowledge that it is in fact a movie?
Dan, you go first.
All right.
Why I have to go first?
Because we all know for a fact that you are the person that saw it more times than we did. I'm not going to say why, but I know you at least saw it more than once. So you have a little fresher in your head.
Oh, dude.
You had a date.
You are a huge sellout right now.
That's out of that bag now, man. Oh, dude. I was actually going to be nice about this.
But okay, since I'm the person that saw it twice.
Or was it only twice?
Like I said, since I was the person that saw it twice, I'm going to basically, this is spoiler territory. Like Scott said, go to the next channel, go somewhere else, because we're going to spoil this whole movie. So,
not that there was much to it, but yes.
Rob's excited.
Overall, I will have to say it was a very interesting horror perspective or intake from Disney and Marvel.
Mm-hmm.
I like the whole Evil Dead concept in the middle of the film, which gave you horror vibes. I love how they utilize Scarlet Witch and showed how truly powerful she is. Scarlet Witch is the villain.
As many people had
predicted.
As it should have been, I think. So,
I will say I did have moments where I felt as though some things could have been more added or more, basically give more closure. Like there were end credits. I felt like the mid credit wasn't necessary.
But that sets up the next one anyway.
Yeah.
So,
the end credit was necessary.
Okay,
yeah, but the mid credit
one,
yeah, but the mid credit I felt as though they could have just mid credit show, spoiler alert, the Scarlet Witch. Like, this is my theory. I really think they should have had the Scarlet Witch utter something while she's stuck or when whatever that mountain caved in, the castle caved in with them in the mountain. I think she should have uttered something as a mid credit scene, like she's stuck in there.
How do we know that she didn't though?
We don't.
I just thing, like the fate of the Scarlet Witch is still up in the air, is it not?
No, It really not, because it's well known now that she's coming out with a movie, so it's out there.
Right. I wouldn't say that she died or anything because even the most educated Marvel watcher will know if you don't see the dead body, it doesn't exist. It didn't
And
happen.
even if you see a dead body, it's 50% possible they'll come
Right.
back anyway.
Well, yeah,
Right.
even then, there's still ways to bring people back. But when we zoomed out of that end scene where they were on Wundagore and the whole thing was coming down, there was that instant flash of red. So who knows what that could be? That could have been her being stomped out, which would have been a little poetic considering we saw in WandaVision how her childhood was when she was like tracked under the rubble and they had that Stark missile that didn't go off. It would have been a little poetic if they killed her off like there, but
Sorry. Go ahead, continue.
or she did do a spell, which I don't think she would have went ahead and put herself in the multiverse, but she did put herself someplace. She did go somewhere.
Or
What?
no more mutants.
No.
No.
Let's no.
All right,
no,
Henry
no.
Gyrick.
No
We
more
can't
mutants.
we can't be going into the mutant stuff. Look, comic book fandom. No, stop. Comic book fandom aside,
He's doing it because
regardless of whatever we saw in this movie, whether it be Professor X or anything else, mutants have not been established in the continuity of the 616.
And you're right.
So
True.
it's silly to think that there could be no more superheroes or maybe no more wizards or magicians, kind of go on the
Or
Baron Mordo train with that. But,
or no more people with super enhanced power.
well, that's the thing.
Mhm.
No more soups or no more metas or whatever they want to call them.
So
And then before you know it, you're pretty much getting like, Black Widow back from the dead to help out with Hawkeye because those are the only two that don't have powers. What?
now let's talk about that massacre.
Oh, yeah. So the thing about this movie, it got a PG-13 rating, and it is bloody.
Yes.
Like, I would honestly say there is more legitimate death in this film than, say, any film that we've seen in the MCU. And mind you, that's including, like, Infinity War and Endgame, because those people just got dusted. They didn't die. They just got removed. These people were dead.
Mm-hmm.
Like, blood and guts, severing, crushing, brains exploding.
Would you
Like,
expect
this
less
is what
from
you
someone?
I'm not
got
gonna do
Sam
it.
Raimi
I'm
in
not
this.
gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it. I'm not
Okay.
gonna do it.
do what?
Fatality.
I mean, I hate to say it, but yeah, I mean, if you look back on something like Mortal Kombat that we had, last year, and it was a pretty visceral movie, although it was a little bit of a tame movie by comparison. But when it got bloody, it got bloody.
Bloody.
And this is the equivalent as far as Marvel is concerned. Like, I haven't seen a movie that's bloody since Blade.
Hmm.
And I don't know if that necessarily means that they're using this as a stepping stone to go into further material, since there is talk of the Blade movie, there is Deadpool 3 on the horizon. This is like maybe a testing
Blade was
ground
rated
to
R,
see
though,
whether or
right?
not this plays off.
What
Blade
happened?
was rated R, though, wasn't it?
Right. Correct.
Yeah, but that was a
Pretty tame R.
1990s rated R.
I was
Like,
gonna say that's a pretty tame R by today's comparison.
yeah, based off a comic book property, which had like Spawn following it the year after.
Then that was
Like, was that
PG-13.
what?
Yeah, you
Was
compare that to what R rated would be now, it's like child's play.
Well, I mean,
Not
look at what was
franchise, but
look,
same
look what
genre.
qualified. I mean, who knows if this was a Disney Marvel push to get a PG-13 rating on this? I think if this came from a different studio, different kind of movie, this might have been a full out R.
Yeah.
Oh, I guarantee you, if Sam Raimi had been with Sony like he was with the original Spider-Man movies, and he was allowed carte blanche to go ahead and make this as horrific as the Evil Dead franchise,
This
You
would have
guarantee
this
this
would have
would've
been
been a hard
30%,
R.
40% gorier.
Yeah.
He could have gone hypothetically HBO Max this thing.
Yes.
like there'd be no cutaways. You'd see like things
Yeah.
plop in and entrails and stuff like that, and the kind of stuff that we know Scott loves because he's such a fan of horror.
Yes.
Oh yeah, because let's say Mr. the North Star is Story of Ricky level stuff. And
And
if you've never
also,
seen
like-
Story of Ricky, we need to talk.
And also, I'd like to give props to whoever was the cinematography of this movie. Like, oh my god, whoever did this, give that person a raise, give that guy a check, because the cinematography in this film was
Hold
not.
on.
I wouldn't say greatest, but it basically gave you that roller coaster feel.
It gave you
Yeah,
the Sam Raimi feel that you expected from a guy who's been doing
Horror.
action horror for like 40 years. I mean, if you go back
Yeah.
to Evil Dead, and then 20 years later he had Spider-Man, and then of course now he's here. You know, this is the proper blend, I think, of, you know, Evil Dead, Army of Darkness, and Spider-Man, if that makes sense, where he was able to kind of blend the two, you know, Marvel comic and obviously what he did with horror. You know, obviously, you know, Bruce Campbell, of course, makes a cameo because he always shows up in everything Sam Raimi anyway.
Yeah,
But
Darkman.
Okay,
knows.
it actually makes
Yeah,
a little
oh,
sense
yeah.
when you look at who it is that did it.
who is it?
John Matheson
Heard
was
the
the
name.
cinematographer on the movie. He worked on such movies as Pokemon Detective Pikachu.
Oh, okay. That was a good movie. I
That's
love
where I
that
know
movie.
him.
No.
This was the
Get
follow.
better.
Oh, yeah,
Logan.
well, I can see Detective Pikachu in that. Oh, no,
He worked on Logan.
okay.
The Man from Uncle.
Okay.
47
forgotten.
Ronin.
Okay.
X-Men First Class.
All right, that was solid.
So, I mean, he's got a nice little resume behind him of like things that require a lot of people and a lot of people getting killed at once.
You know, and because of the fact that he did, I mean, not X-Men First Class so much, but with Logan, yeah. You know, that gritty
Well, I mean,
war
there are other
feel of that
things in
movie.
there too, like Kingdom of Heaven and
Mm.
what's the one with the guy from Sons of Anarchy, King Arthur, that
Mhm.
one. So anything with like a lot of like hack and slash, I would say, which really works best in like the horror field because it's probably the most brutal way. I mean, people can get shot, people can be crushed, and it's done.
Mm.
But when you take something like in hand and you just go at somebody, that's why the best slashers are ones that is pretty much someone with a knife or a claw hand or a machete or a chainsaw. Again, not trying to freak out Scott or anything, but
I think I can handle it. It's okay. I think I'll be all right. You know, I mean, here. I don't have a
Scott,
stuffed animal, but I have my
Scott,
blanket. How's that?
Scott, calm down. Calm down.
but yeah, no, Bob, the bodies hit the floor on this. Even
Yeah,
even
it's all
bodies
about
that we may never see in the
I'll be right
MCU
back,
again. I mean, obviously the cameos were a big thing in this.
Yeah, we probably should go in that direction. We're gonna, by the way, we're also gonna get into really dumb auditions and fails and that shortly after this. But yeah, the cameos were. I have to wonder how many of those cameos were actually the reshoot stuff. We may
A
never
lot
get
of it was the reshoot stuff.
Yeah, I mean,
And-
like I said, they did 6-day reshoots on this, so you got to wonder how many tens of millions of dollars was spent on it. They've already pretty much recouped back the budget, and then hello.
Uh-oh.
Wow.
Scary,
yeah.
scary. Scary movie.
Scream.
I mean, considering it's all like metallic out and everything, it might as well be
Yeah.
a scary movie.
Now, give me in Scream 1, who was the principal?
Are you asking me or are you asking Ghostface?
Anybody who can answer it.
Robert Englund,
No.
wasn't it?
Nope.
No. They had the janitor with the Robert Englund Freddy sweater. Principal was Henry
Hey.
Winkler.
Henry Winkler was the freaking principal in Scream.
Yeah, that was weird.
You know. But I was going to say, no, D, put it back on. You look better with it.
I do? Oh, okay.
Nice.
You know, the same amount of hair it looks like. I know.
Yeah,
you got more
just do the whole rest of the show with that on.
yeah, why not?
Nope.
Just-
Oh, screw y'all.
Yes.
But okay.
So basically, we're gonna be talking world peace and Greenpeace and Mother Teresa for a lot of the rest of the show.
Yeah,
Also, we'll be discussing at length some of PBS's best Sesame Street specials. Alongside us as well is Davion as the guy from Scream. So, anyway, I totally 100% forgot where I was going with this.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, speaking of ridiculous casting, like Dave for Scream,
Mm.
I have to say,
Oh yeah,
I was
cameos,
a
that's
little surprised that they went the way they did with the cameos,
right. Mhm.
Yeah.
only because it does make the whole Illuminati thing feel like a waste.
They threw them in there basically just to kill them.
Yeah.
Which pretty
Yeah.
much takes the idea of like, okay, if you actually wanted these characters to return into the MCU, into the 616 proper, you've pretty much torpedoed that
Mhm.
by going ahead, setting these characters up the way they look now, and killing them off, thus messing with any and all expectations for anything in the future. Now, it's fair to say Lashana Lynch probably won't be coming back. Peggy Carter probably won't be coming back, although she may be utilized in What If Season 2, sure. Mordo, I think, would have to come back, yes. I mean, we left off with him in the first movie, and here we
Well,
barely even saw him, or we actually haven't seen him since the first movie.
But
can
I'm
I
gonna
go
say
ahead? Yeah,
I'm
I'll
gonna
add to
say
something in a
this
second.
much. Yeah, I'm gonna say this much. From what you're saying, you gotta realize these are different Numinati. You got multiple universes with different Numinati. Only the 616 doesn't have a Numinati team.
See,
So
I don't think that's what they were necessarily saying. I think they were more saying that the Illuminati in this particular universe, the what was it, the E38 that they were in?
Yeah.
E38, yeah.
I think that's pretty much more just their version of the Avengers in that universe.
Right. Exactly.
So if there is going to be a Reed Richards in the 616, it's probably not going to be John Krasinski now.
Well, we don't know that because they
Well-
just signed him as director and
Well,
starring in it.
I
Well,
think
we heard him talking about director. There's nothing that says that he's actually going to be starring in Fantastic Four.
From what I'm hearing, it is.
That's always rumor and speculation. Until Marvel actually puts it out themselves, it's all speculation.
Okay.
But personally, at this point, I would almost say don't put Krasinski in the lead role. Because then you're going to pretty much be having the same issue you had with this movie where fan theories are going to fly all over and people are going to be expecting so much. And what you're going to get is not going to necessarily be satisfying. Let's not forget, even though this movie made 185 domestically over the weekend, over 400 million worldwide, it still wasn't rated that well. Like, it's by a B plus, when everything else has usually been an A or above. As far as the MCU.
7.5, I think, on IMDb. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I mean,
it's fine for the money, but it's also middling. This isn't exactly a movie that took the MCU anywhere in particular or did much with it, which I think a lot of people were expecting for more. But if you look at the trailer, it pretty much spells out what you're going to get in the film.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not as likable a character. It's not Spider-Man. It's not a character that's also as easily recognized, and it's a sequel that really requires everyone. And this is what I learned from last week. I didn't want to give the spoilers on this. It does require you to know a lot. In this case, WandaVision. If you don't know WandaVision, you're going to be totally 100% lost about why she wants to, why she wants to basically have a kid. Yeah. There's so much to that. Now, the one thing I keep thinking about with this, Krasinski was like, hey, I'm Reed Richards. Hey, now I'm dead. It was a glorified cameo. Like I said, that's the problem with the Illuminati. They brought everybody in to basically just wipe everybody out, just to show how powerful she was. Okay, fine. But you wasted good cameos there. You brought Patrick Stewart back.
And you gave him the X-Men 97 version.
Hey, so it's like you killed Professor X. Okay,
for the second time cinematically.
Yes.
No, third time.
Third time.
Okay,
yeah. Well, actually, he really didn't die in Last Stand. He transferred his mind.
He transferred his mind, but his body still counts as dead.
I don't know. He showed up later in one of the other X-Men movies.
Yeah, that was
4.
That was Fox's version of rebooting.
4.
Yeah,
4. Died 4 times.
Look,
Last Stand, Logan. This one and what?
Patrick Stewart enough times.
What was the one when Logan went back to the future? Back to the present.
Days of Future Past. Yeah, I guess he died in that time in the future timeline, didn't he?
Right.
God, he dies like Krillin.
Takes a licking and keeps
I
on
mean, I hate
ticking.
to say it, but yeah, I mean, and there, right there, if there was any possibility of bringing Patrick Stewart back into the MCU for Professor Xavier in the 616, that's been doused now too, because now it'll
Yeah.
just be too confusing if you say, "Oh yeah, I remember him. He was the guy that had his neck cracked by Scarlet Witch." Oh,
Yeah.
but he's
like
back.
he's that old guy from Picard. What did he do anything before that?
Professor
Let's see.
X.
I'm being sarcastic. Come on, I was
I
raised
know.
on Next Generation. I remember the original Dune. Do you not remember me talking about that? The original Dune, which had a then also still bald Patrick Stewart, years before he did Next Generation.
Nah.
Yeah, no, I'm an old fart here. I was raised on geek culture in the '80s, so.
Well, I want to ask Robert this question, just to get his acting expertise here.
Mhm.
Now, Robert, when you have maybe been playing a character or a role for, say, 10 years, maybe even 15, maybe even 20, do you, as an actor, say, okay, enough is enough, I need to tap out? Or do you go ahead and you try to ride that gravy train even until it goes off the rails?
Well, now, see, I would think in terms of, yeah, it's sort of job security and things like that. And if I needed that job to last for however long it needed to go for, I'd hold on to it. But as an actor, you want to branch out, you want to do different things. So, you know, I would say, would I hold on to it if it meant my, career? Make a career decision based on the fact that, like, if I continue, will I be happy? That kind of thing.
Well, I mean, let's say you
Oh,
started this job in like your 60s and now you're in your 80s
hmm.
still
He's like,
doing the job.
yeah, he's like
yeah, good
83
point.
now.
Oh well,
Or
that
Ian
all
McKellen.
depends on
Both those
whether or not that
villains.
if I had, like, work before that kind of made me feel like I've accomplished something. But if I'm just continually doing the same role, into my 80s kind of thing, from you said from my 60s to the 80s,
Mm,
I
20 years.
I would, yeah, I would say I'd hold on to it then, I guess, because it's what I'm known for, that kind of thing. But
Mhm.
I don't know. I mean,
Like,
I'd have to say I'd keep it if those were the terms.
I can understand that. It's just the thing that with Patrick Stewart, between this little cameo and what they've already been doing with Picard, for like the what 3 seasons or so,
mhm.
Third season will be its
it,
last, but they just finished 2.
right? I mean, this is a man who is a classically trained actor. We're talking about a guy who has worked at the Globe. The man can do Shakespeare at the drop of a hat. Like, there's only like 5 dudes in like the whole world now that can probably do it like that. I would love to see Patrick Stewart do other things, maybe even other franchises if you want
Mhm.
to. Hell, put him in Avatar. Maybe I'll actually be interested in seeing the next few movies. But I, I just feel like after his death in Logan, that should have been it.
Mhm.
Why are we still
Uh,
milking this?
because
Because it's Disney.
because he's an
Money, money,
iconic
money, money,
Yeah.
money, money,
money
money,
and
money,
he's
money, money,
iconic.
money.
When you go
All
to
right,
cons, but here's the
but here's
thing:
the thing: why did it have to be Stewart? Why couldn't it have been McAvoy?
because McAvoy is still a young guy that they could basically season and create more opportunities for. Stewart, he's in his 80s. He 83. He in his 80s. He probably looking at this as, look, this will be my last run. If I'm going to go out, I might as well just keep people remembering me as Patrick Stewart. I mean, Picard, or I'll be remembered as Professor X, an
They can
older
use
version.
they can use
These
McAvoy in a
scenarios that
better
they
way.
did,
Yeah,
there was nothing inspired by them. Yeah, sure, you put him in like the fancy yellow chair, which by the way was like up to him on
Hmm.
the chair, which was really just like a leg thing. Here it's like he pulled up his pants to his nipples. All right. It's like he was that old of a man that the chair had to go that high. It was
Get
ridiculous.
off my lawn!
All right. It's like
Yeah.
it's like the cameos were done for cameo's sake. Like there was nothing about Lashana Lynch that made Captain Marvel any different. There was nothing about the
Mhm.
characterization. John Krasinski was pretty much just sitting there and talking, as opposed to just being like the
And then died.
rather
Yeah.
confident know-it-all that we've expected from the comics and from the other movie versions.
I have a theory. The script was written by Dwight Schrute.
Oh, Jesus. That's an Office reference for those people who have never watched the show.
Yeah.
One of you
me.
guys had to have gotten that reference there. So.
I never watched The
didn't.
Office.
Hell, you even figured it out anyway. So,
Yeah.
but
Yes, because Rainn Wilson is that's who he is at this point.
yeah,
It's either that or what he does in the Meg.
9 years since that show wrapped up, by the way. But I mean, all in
And they're
all,
trying to bring that back. That's the
Well,
one thing that I think really killed me for this, because everything was just so nostalgia heavy.
well,
when it
that's
came
the
to,
way,
like,
that's the way
certain
Hollywood
things.
works now. You know,
Right.
I know, but
Memberberry-
I get that it made sense for something like No Way Out, because you're going back like almost a generation, going
Mhm.
back to the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. There was nothing that necessarily needed to be nostalgic in this film. You could have opened up a lot of stuff, and the only thing that you used to open up anything was an Illuminati that all got slaughtered, or America Chavez, which,
Mhm.
boy, was she a MacGuffin. That's all
Yeah.
she really was. She was a MacGuffin.
she just existed to basically just push off the Disney series when she gets it.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know,
And
and
I'm
that's
sorry, the character deserves a little bit better than that.
I mean, here's the problem with Multiverse of Madness to me. All in all, not a bad film.
Correct.
You know, but it was a panic film because they saw what happened with No Way Home and they panicked. They saw what's on the horizon right now with Ms. Marvel and they panicked. You know, and as a result, they made all the changes that they did. Again, tens of millions of dollars. And I said this. I said most of the time when they try and do something like that, it seldom works. You know, and it worked okay, but again, they basically just brought people in as cameos to just off them. Now, Elizabeth Olsen went on record by saying that she had nothing to do with the reshoots whatsoever. She was not there for any of that. So that's a curious clue right there that tells me that she did everything they did, and they threw everything else in, possibly the Illuminati stuff, to basically give people some more member berries.
Well, I want to know what was the original idea if that was the case.
We may never find out. I mean, are they going to make Elizabeth Olsen more sympathetic? I mean, she kind of just killed a whole bunch of people, and you know, it's like you're
Yeah, which, by the way, was a huge stretch from the end of WandaVision.
Right.
Like, when we last left her, yeah, she may have been playing around with the Darkhold, and she may have heard her children screaming for help. Where were those kids? Where were the kids that was like screaming for mommy, mommy, where are you?
At the end of WandaVision, it almost looked like she kind of just accepted what happened. You know, because she's sitting there, you know, out in the woods in the cabin by herself, and it's almost like she's trying to come to terms with what she lost. This one came back to, by the way, that really sucked. Oh, by the way, you know, my doppelganger has kids. I'm going to be my doppelganger now.
Well, I'm just gonna steal the kids and screw around with my doppelganger and like take over.
Yeah,
her
and that's
life.
like I said, that was
Because she would want that for herself, I'm sure.
and that's where a lot of it is. It's like you're doing all this stuff wrong. Yeah, I know. And it's like really, you know, you really
It's
think
like any remorse,
Yoda would be
any
very upset with
lesson
you.
that she learned at the end of WandaVision, out the window the minute she found out America Chavez existed.
Right.
Bless you, my child.
Thank you.
So she was like saying, "Oh, telling Doctor Strange, you're considered a hero because you messed up your multiverse, but me, I'll be considered the villain of the story." And I'm like, okay, but here's another one I want to talk about: Doctor Strange versus Doctor Strange.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
What is everybody's opinion? Now, I will say this: I picked up Fantasia vibes from that fight scene.
Oh yeah, no, the way the music was, that's what I
Hmm.
expect from a Doctor Strange fight. I expect anything to be utilized. And the way they were like throwing notes at each other and it was
Yeah.
making music, it's like, that was inspired.
Right. So that's why I say I felt Fantasia. I'm not saying it was a bad thing. I just felt Fantasia vibes.
No,
Well,
yeah, no,
did.
it could have easily been like we would have been Flight of the Bumblebee and we would have been trapped in the middle of all that.
Right.
Fantasia, the original, not Fantasia 2000, which came out for no reason.
Yeah, the original.
Yes, that actually did happen. By the way, so look that up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the 2001 did happen, but I prefer the original.
2001 didn't. 2001 happened.
No,
Yeah, but
we
I'm saying-
saying that.
No, but
Yeah,
no,
he-
most people forget that Fantasia 2000 actually happened.
Yeah,
I can. Donald Duck's in Fantasia 2000, so
True. Just like we
My
can't
dude.
forget Heavy Metal 2000 was a thing too.
yeah.
Animated stuff aside.
But yes. So anyway, basically, final verdict, final thoughts.
Overall, I would say an 8.
Yeah. I mean, the
It was a
cameo.
fine movie, but it unfortunately has the same aspect of, say, like Black Widow.
Mhm.
It's a movie that existed, but didn't really offer too much consequence going forward,
Yeah.
which is something you would expect from something that has been built up from WandaVision, from Loki, from What If, from Spider-Man No Way Home. This should have been the epitome of multiversal crossover nonsense. And
Or
we got to see a
multiversal
couple of clips the
crisis.
same way the Guardians of the Galaxy moved through different planets. So it was
Mhm.
like blips. And we saw maybe two other universes that were like decent.
Right.
It was disappointing in that sense. Still make money, sure, but
it's not going to be No Way Home. It'll clear $1 billion, maybe borderline, but it's going to basically pull a Last Jedi box office, or I'm sorry, Rise of Skywalker box office.
well, it really makes me wonder when's the next time we're even going to see Doctor Strange. Because I mean, if you look at the lineup for this year,
Yeah,
there is still so much Marvel content that has to come
24,
out,
25,
movie wise and TV show wise.
Yeah. But I don't know. I mean, I will say, let me say this. Well, Rez, I think we start wrapping this up. My wife hates multiverses. The way that she says it, it's pretty accurate. She says the surest sign that any comic book franchise is running out of gas is when they start running into parallel universes, because you've exhausted everything that you have in the universe you're in.
And yet you have something like Everything Everywhere All at Once, which shows a lot of multiversal action and intrigue.
But it's like
And they
it's
only
like
have to do
it
it in
sort of
one
ran
movie.
out of what to do on Earth.
Like that was something that no one knew about. And
I'm going to say this much. I think looking at it in a film perspective, but not looking at it in a Marvel perspective, I think Marvel needed to do this because it's like we have all these shows and we need to revamp and realize that everybody's in their own different universes. Like the TV shows are in their own. Originally, the TV show should have been with the 616, but because of certain deals that ABC and Fox and Sony, we have
and
too
Kevin
many
Feige
people
just
that-
being
yeah, you got. No, I don't think it's too much Kevin Feige. I think it's more the
he was the one who hated Agents of Shield.
yeah.
And
But it
that's
was
the one that
more-
we got introduced to the Darkhold in the first place.
Yeah, but you gotta look at it this way. Most of it is the other networks, like the other production team, the other studios. You gotta put it on them too, because if you know you wasn't doing it correct with certain films, just pass it along so they could basically do it right. And I'm not gonna say Disney did all the way right, but they did some of the movies right, majority of them right. So it's like.
Okay.
I suppose.
I suppose, yeah.
It makes me a little bit more concerned for something like Thor: Love and Thunder, which is going to be the next one in only 2 months. And I feel like at this point, I don't want any more multiversal stuff. I mean, you look at Moon Knight. It was nice. It was enclosed. It was its own little thing. If this is going to be Thor's swan song when it comes out, and when it does, let that be it. Don't say, oh, James from another multiverse or some other nonsense, and then we have another way that the multiverse can be traveled other than America. Just retire, be at peace, and let's move on with all these other people, all these other characters, all these other actors that we need to flush out, because we don't want this to turn into a Star Wars thing where we keep going back to the same characters that they're not going to push the narrative further.
By the way, here's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
We're going to continue this until probably basically we're going to just talk nothing but Marvel for the next 3.5 hours. Rob, if you want to go in with basically your disclaimer,
We
your
know he's a DC guy. But,
yes, I know.
Yes.
So,
I mean, we could talk about how Ezra Miller is going to get replaced after Flash, but
oh boy,
No, they said they're not replacing him. I got somebody from what I'm hearing, they're not going to do.
well, I was going to say what also happens with the rise of the Fantastic Beast. You have already replaced your Johnny Depp. You know, for what a lot of people have a major issue with. So my question is, if you get rid of Ezra Miller now, you know, I mean, you're going to be replacing a lot of the crux of that cast.
Let's be
What do you
real. Nobody cares. I'm sorry to say that, but nobody cares about Mr. Miller.
No, they don't. It's all listen. It's all about PR. It's all about marketing. You know,
No, nobody cares. Like
know.
if it was Aquaman and Wonder Woman, people would care. But not so much about the three, really. For people didn't like Ben Affleck as Batman. People didn't like Henry Cavill as Superman.
we can lose Ezra. We can lose Amber Heard. We've got a lot of other heroes on the horizon. Black Adam's going to be introducing a whole slew of new ones.
Yeah.
Personally,
but
I'm going
again,
to love to see
with
Hawkman
both franchises, they're kind of just sitting there like scraping the bottom of the barrel.
Yeah.
What can we come up with now?
The fact
But
that
y'all
got
want to
Aldous
know
Hodge,
something?
I love that.
Y'all want to know something? And I think Robert will agree with me. I do believe that their lower tier heroes and their villains are the savior of DC.
I'm gonna have to agree. You know, I mean, they're the ones that are out there. They're out on the front lines, man. They're doing it. So
They're on their own,
And they're actually
she-
pulling the stunts out. Like it's like, come on, you got Peacemaker, who's a lower tier
Super
it
low
worked.
tier.
anti-hero, not superhero. Anti-hero is the difference.
and it
That
worked.
basically pulled off all the stops and made the actual heroes look bad.
Well, that's where
Yeah.
DC has really shined. I mean, if you look at Suicide Squad, either of the Suicide Squad movies,
I was going to say yes. Peacemaker's line, comment to Aquaman, which anyway, I'm sorry to cut you off.
well, plus even Aquaman, even though he is part of the Justice League,
But he's
he
considered
was
a
the
lower tier.
joke of anything DC oriented, team oriented
Fact.
for years,
Right.
decades even, and yet his movie outperformed a lot of others. And credit where credit's due, Shazam, it's a funny movie.
because you got Jason Momoa playing them. So
And these are the lower to mid tier heroes and the villains, and even the higher villains still got more play than the main heroes.
Well, I think it's because you had something like the WB with Smallville and the Arrowverse that showed that when you take out Superman and Batman and Wonder Woman, when you take out the big three, you have the opportunity to flesh out a lot of other characters that people either would forget about or didn't know about as much. I mean, sure, the Flash may have had his television series in the 90s, but outside of that, he was just the guy that ran fast. But between what we've gotten on television and what we've seen in like animation, he's now just as important as the big three. He's less of a comedic character and more of a staple. And you can do that with so many characters. Now we're talking that there's a Blue Beetle movie that's going to be done for HBO Max.
Mhm.
And they've got the one kid from Cobra Kai as the lead. I'm going to love to see that.
I'm going to say this much.
We can wrap this up.
Warner Brothers Discovery. I'm just going to let you know, if you're watching this, please, I'm begging you, please do a Red Hood movie and have what's his name? Oh God,
Bruce
the
Willis.
guy that did the guy that did Suicide Squad, the director,
James Gunn.
James Gunn, do the Red Hood.
Ooh.
No.
No, don't say no. I'm just saying. I'm telling you.
Why are you
this
praying
will-
to me? I can't do nothing
I'm not
about
saying
it.
to you. I'm telling the people right there on my screen.
Please.
Please, James Gunn, direct Red Hood
Hmm.
and have me play Jason Todd. That's all I'm saying.
And play
That's
Jason Todd. Of course, I
James
got to kill the
Gunn's
black
gonna
man
be
off
doing
first. So.
Batmite before he does anything like that.
But no, seriously.
Not everything popular in DC needs to be Batman related. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, if James Gunn did, this is worth a debate probably next week. We're gonna wrap this up.
Right.
But if James Gunn did Killing Joke as a live action, and I'm not talking the animated one, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, we're gonna come back to that another time.
Yeah.
Mr. Leckington has been far more patient than we deserve, I think, in this case. Okay, JT does not like the idea of a live action Killing Joke with James Gunn. Okay, well, JT. All right, let's swing this basically for the last 15 or so minutes that we've got left here. Eduardo, at any point, I've sent you a couple messages. Feel free to remove the disclaimer since we haven't talked about the Multiverse of Madness for probably about 7 minutes at this point.
Yeah.
Anyway, we have got to talk a little bit about terrible auditions that my ugly, pasty ass has done. I don't know what kind of terrible auditions that Rob Leckington's, less pasty self has done compared to basically, this guy who's like white as a sheet.
My ginger self.
Yes. D?
I did. Yep, I did some
Nice.
terrible auditions.
Rob, kick us off, sir.
Yeah, so I had an in-room audition of probably, I'd say, maybe not too long ago, maybe about 5-6 years ago, something like that, where I went in. Okay, I'm wearing an orange jumpsuit because I'm sort of like in wardrobe for like a convict kind of thing, and so I'm in doing the audition and everything, and I feel like I'm instantly like losing out only because I'm wearing the wardrobe, which I felt like I didn't have to do, but I did because I wanted to try and at least, yeah. And the look from the casting assistant's face, it was like, okay. So that kind of started it off. Well, there was some lines that I had that I more or less just I knew that I messed up. I wasn't feeling comfortable the whole time in the room, kind of thing. And to top it off, there was this stunt that I had to do at the end of my audition where I had to kind of fall back, but not necessarily fall back like I did and knock down the backdrop that was behind me.
Oh.
Oh yeah. Needless to say, I didn't get that audition, but I assume that they probably remembered me, after that because I came in full guns, man. Both guns blaring, baby. I was there. I was ready to do it. But I just
And you learned about spatial awareness.
yeah. Well, it's one of those things. It's one of several auditions that I didn't really, that I felt were too over the top, I should say. But yeah, that was the one that I spoke with Scott about. That I was like, really, that was the first one that really came to my mind. But we could talk about some of those others at another time.
Do you guys want to make fun of me on one?
Go ahead.
Sure, always.
Cool. That's what I figured. When I first started out, I was, how do I put this delicately? I was not flush with cash. The nice way of saying it is that I really basically was broke as hell. And I couldn't afford contact lenses. And, basically as you can see me right now, I don't always pull off glasses that well. Especially not when your glasses actually came out in about 1994, 1995, and you're still using them to this day. So I went in for an audition for something where they gave me the script, and it was like 2 pages of dialogue here. And they're like, we're going to give you about 5-10 minutes to figure it out. But don't worry, we also have a teleprompter for you, so you can look at that. And I'm like, okay, panic mode, because I got I got contacts in today, but not being able to afford contacts and having glasses that were just honestly They've confused me with Dwight Schrute from The Office. They literally have. So next time I'll wear them, I'll actually show you how much I look like Dwight Schrute. So suffice it to say, I go into this thing and I don't have the dialogue memorized because it was a long sheet. And frankly, my brain is like a sieve. It goes in one ear, gone out the other immediately. I'm just dumb as crap that way. So I get in there and I'm looking at the teleprompter. And I'm trying to read the teleprompter. And I'm just fungooling every line of dialogue on this. And the casting person was actually remarkably patient. Like, keep trying to do your best on this. It's okay. In the back of his mind, he's probably thinking to himself, get the hell out of here. Never speak to me again. You are hot garbage on a tin roof, and you're a complete waste of my time. I never heard back. Bottom line, folks, if you are going to get headshots that do not actually have glasses in there and you go in for an audition and you are blind as a bat like I am, wear your friggin' contacts. Find a way, get them, buy them, whatever you got to do. Because if you have to read off a teleprompter, you will fail epically because you're going to look like a complete moron who can't read anything in front of it.
Get your contacts.
Get your
Yeah.
contacts.
Yeah. So,
Or if you're like me and you can't have contacts, just always have one picture with the glasses, one picture without, and send them both.
there you go.
Fact.
But
Now,
like I
with
said, I look
me-
like Dwight Schrute. Okay. Yes.
Now with me, oh wow, hi. Oh, I went the wrong
yeah.
way. All right. So my audition, this was like 4 or 5 years ago. And let me be honest with you. They gave me the script. The script didn't make no sense at all. Straight up didn't make no sense at all. Not to me. And he's telling me, I'm reading what it says. So pretty much I'm like, you sure you want me to see these words? He's like, yeah. Okay, so I'm reading it. He's like, and I'm like, okay, this doesn't make sense. Let me make it make sense. No, I want you to read what's on the script. And I'm like, dude, what you wrote down doesn't make
Did you tell him that?
sense. Yes. I said the grammar is horrible.
And this was an independent film?
Mm-hmm.
How did that go?
And I told him like this. Look, I read it. I was like, "Yo, okay, I'm not doing this film. I'm done." Like, even if he didn't call me back, I was like, "I'm not doing it."
Yeah.
So I gotta ask, like, how bad was it really? Like, do you remember?
It was like it was a little bit. It was like, I think it was slang, but the way my brain registered it, it was like, what?
So kind of like Pootie Tang,
Yeah.
where it's like you get the idea of what they're wanting to say, but it just doesn't really sound right when you're saying it.
Exactly. And that's what I was like pretty much telling him, like, because yes, I am sort of a proper grammar type individual. And that's when my words do get mixed up, because at the time when you want me to speak hood, I speak proper.
They wanted you to speak hood?
Yeah, and I was like,
Not Red Hood, just Hood.
Not Red Riding Hood, not yet.
Not yet. So it was just like, please make this make sense, because it doesn't to me. And I think I was tired that day, and it was hot, and I was like, I'd walked all the way from 33rd to here, and I'm like,
I want to know who the director was. Chet's pretty good. We may have mutual friends in this case too. I put it in the chat to tell me, because I would love to know if it's anybody I've ever worked with. Rob, any others for you? Turn it back over to you.
I don't know if it was an audition, but we'd been like working. Scott and I, we were working on the project, the big project that we first worked on together, and everything, and we were out in the middle of a field, right? We've got like, he's telling me that like Hershey's syrup was what they used to use in black and white film for blood. So, it would just, the viscosity of it and everything, it would just, if you pour it over your face on a black and white film, it looks like blood. Well, so we're out there in the middle of this field, and he wants to try and recreate this like dream scene. where my character is like screaming and I've got blood all over my hands, my face, that kind of thing. But we got it all over my face, all right, all over my face, into my eyes, it was burning, and it like the smell wouldn't go away. I had it inside my nostrils, right? Like after I
Oh
already wiped
wow.
my face off and
But
all
it's
my
syrup
hands,
though. Smells good.
yeah. It
Was
was
that
it was a mess.
was that
It,
Forever
it
Your?
lasted
Did you do? Which movie was that? Which project was that?
Morai, the Drifter.
Yeah, okay,
That was
okay.
we
Yeah, it
we
was like
didn't
Scott
even end up
Goldberg, not
actually.
Scott Me. Yeah.
Right. Sorry,
Yeah, I was gonna
Different
say I
Scott
Scott.
did a
Goldberg
horror
and I.
film. Say I don't remember doing something with you like that. So,
Yeah. But yeah, no, it was and that scene was never even used in the film. So we were trying different things, and of course it
Wow.
was cold. Oh man, and the wind was
mhm.
blowing. It was probably with the wind chill and everything below zero. But yeah, I mean, cold, and I had that stuff stuck in my hair, what little hair I have left. But yeah, it was a mess.
And for
I had
anyone
to
that
do
says like, "Oh, it's just chocolate," it's like, no,
it sticks.
like real chocolate. If you have too much of it, you get sick of it.
Right.
Yes,
Well,
yes, you do.
I had a horror film that I had done. I thought it was the same guy in this case, but they had me covered up in blood and everything like that, and that stuff just gets everywhere, And there was no way that I could have gotten it out of my system. I had to go and take a full shower. So I'm leaving his house over in Teaneck. I was up in Waldwick at the time, yeah, like 20 minutes up the road, and I'm like, never did this before. Covered in blood, completely torn shred. Hey, there's a McDonald's right there. And I just went in and ordered, just covered in blood, torn clothing, all this kind of stuff, and nobody noticed.
What?
Nobody paid attention. Nobody commented. Nobody said a damn thing. They were just like, "So what can I get you?"
Shocking.
I was like, "Well, I'll get a number one." I'm like, I might have a little trouble
Shocking.
eating it or something like that. And they're like, "Yeah, here's your order." I'm like,
And you're like reaching out with your bloody hand, grabbing the
yeah,
bag.
dude,
Thank
I was just
you.
covered. I mean, this was like I said, this is indie level horror. If I mention the name, you actually, probably actually, I'll say, heck, all four of you, including JT, would probably know who I'm talking about. And I was just so disappointed because I figured I'd elicit some kind of a response there, but everybody was just like,
No, it's probably
it's
some
like,
elderly lady who's been working there for 20 years, probably looking into like,
wow, somebody younger than me.
and you're the third one this month.
Yeah.
Damn, damn kids. So
Nah, probably like this. Hey man, how you doing? Like to place an order.
yeah, it was
Oh.
just nonchalant. It's like, hey, yeah, hey, he's like, what can I get you? Well, you know what? I'll probably get this, something like that, So, how you doing? It's like they're doing good, So,
I'm doing good.
but yeah, the person just totally 100% didn't care, and I was very disappointed by that.
See, if
Wow.
it was me, I would have gone ahead and just like, so, anybody ever here? You ever seen a dead body?
Hmm.
Just like,
And you look like the one that would say something like that too.
Actually, here's what I would, if it was me on the other side of the table, I'd be like, so tough day at the office. And then just let it go. But we got to wrap this up. We got a 2-minute warning and a 1.5-minute warning, which
Okay.
basically means, hurry the hell up. Any final thoughts from any of you guys? So,
Nope.
Nothing.
no, I wish I had.
Oh,
bad
I got
options, but-
the film festival this Saturday, 1:00 at the Cinepolis in Chelsea.
Nice.
Our film,
And Golden. Okay.
Rent a Neighbor will be its first public viewing. So 1:00.
Gotcha.
Very cool.
And Golden Door Film Festival Thursday is the opening night, and
This
all the way
is
up
nice.
until Saturday. It's this week,
Whoa.
yes.
I always remember it was in October. Huh, all right.
No,
Yeah,
For
so
any
sure,
people that
it's
live
October.
in the New Jersey, New York area, those
Yeah.
who don't, sorry.
Nice.
In Jersey City, easy access to the path to the Golden Door International Film Festival. It's about its 10th this year. Anyway, I got to wrap this up.
Yeah.
Thanks as always to Davion Musi, Mr. Robert Leckington, and also Mr. Ryan O'Regan. I'm Scott Schertzen. Thank you as always. Have a great day. Have a greater tomorrow, and be awesome.